you introduce yourself?
My name's David Ledesma. I'm born and raised here in San Jose.
Okay. And then what's this demonstration that you have out here?
Well, this is an anti-war, anti-militarism protest that I've been doing every Saturday and Sunday since March of 2003, since the start of the Iraq War.
And what has inspired you to do this protest, this demonstration?
Well, in 1967, May 20th in 1967, my oldest brother, Joseph Ledesma Jr., was killed in the Vietnam War. He was combat infantry. He was killed in an ambush. He was only 20 years old, and I was 13 at the time. So as a young 13-year-old, I really looked up to my big brother. My parents were divorced, and he was like the male figure in my life. He lettered in 3 sports in high school. He was a leader of the neighborhood. Back in the 60s in Santa Clara, there was kids all over the place. I mean, all the neighborhoods were filled with kids, and he was a leader of our neighborhood. So, that was a father figure for me, and so it was, of course, it was really traumatic for me having lost that in Vietnam. So, over the last 36 years since then, I just kept silent about his death. I never talked about it. Nobody ever asked me about it. So I just kept it in a safe place inside of me. But in 2003, when the U.S. decided to invade Iraq, all my memories started flooding back to me, and I became very angry and very impatient. I was glued to the media, trying to find out everything I could about the U.S. going into Iraq, and I was against the war. So I'd heard about an anti-war protest here in San Jose, and I went to it. I'd never done anything like that in my life, and it felt great that I was with like 5,000 other people marching in a march against war, and it made me really feel empowered. So at that time, we used to protest at this corner against the war, but after a few weeks, they ended it, and I thought, we can't stop. This has to keep on going. We can't. The war's still going on, and people are dying on both sides. That we have to continue. So I continued on my own. I solicited other people I had developed on a list, but people rarely came out, and I just said, well, this is my opportunity to go to the public with my message of anti-war and anti-militarism. So I've just continued that as a commitment to my brother and a commitment to peace to continue doing this protest.
Awesome. So which wars are you against specifically?
I'm against all wars. I mean, all wars that are going on now are wars of aggression. They're wars of plundering natural resources from other countries, and I'm against all of them. So that's something that I think sometimes the public, and I used to think also that if our government is all involved in a war, then there must be a good reason for it. But I've gotten a lot wiser over the years and doing my own research that they're all for plundering, and I'm against that.
Right. So I know that the Bush administration led us into the first war based on 9/11. But do you think there's a difference between the 2 previous administrations and this administration in their foreign policy?
I think that the foreign policy is just a continuation for corporate America. The plundering isn't for the American people. It's for the American corporations that are going to benefit, either extracting oil or through extracting natural resources, like they found $1 trillion worth of minerals in Afghanistan, but also cheap labor. Getting cheap labor costs. And then with North American Free Trade Agreement with Clinton, that just opened the doors for more exploitation of workers in other countries and a loss of American jobs.
Right. Can you tell us about your outreach you do with the schools?
Yeah, about 13 years ago, I started doing counter-recruitment on high school campuses. In fact, one of the high schools that I do counter-recruitment at is a high school my brother graduated from. So for the last 13 years, I've been on the high school campuses every week during the school year doing counter-recruitment. I set up a table and I talk to students about their options after high school, encouraging them to do something peaceful with their lives and not join the military.
So have you gotten any pushback from the recruiters, or have you gotten any pushback out here from the police or anything like that?
Yeah, there's been pushback minimal pushback from the recruiters. In the beginning, when I first started doing this, they were very friendly. We were on a first name basis. We'd shake hands with each other and have a cordial greeting. But over the years, what has happened, they've actually tried to prevent me from being on campus through the high school administration. And the high school administration's position is one that I respect, is that I have a right to be on the campus to provide a different point of view. Just as the military is on campus, I have a right to do that. I've also been threatened with arrest here by the Santa Clara Police Department. I had to get an attorney and to maintain my right of free speech. They threatened to arrest me if I was out here with my signs. I have sidewalk signs, sandwich board signs that I place on the sidewalk, and I was told that there's a city ordinance against that. Then when I investigated that, I found out that there isn't an ordinance against that. That, you know, a real estate agent can put a sign on the corner, so can I. And it really is an interference with free speech. So my attorney sent a letter to the chief of police and to the city attorney stating that his client, me, is going to return the following week, and that they need to educate their police department about the Constitution and free speech, and that my attorney would be there at the protest to witness. So I came back the next week with 30 people, and the Mercury newspaper and the Santa Clara Weekly both did articles and photos on me and what we did here, and not one police officer showed up that weekend. So they've tried to threaten free speech on the high school campus and on the corner here in public, and you know, we still have that right to free speech, and I'm going to exercise it.
That's great, standing up for free speech as well as anti-war. So have you had any citizens groups come out against you? I know there was an anti-Sharia protest here. Can you talk about those?
Well, the anti-Sharia people is just a cover for being racist. You know, anti-Sharia, they say that all Muslims are you know, Sharia fundamentalists, which is not true. It was just an excuse to spread their racism. They never directed anything directly at me, but when they did come to this corner that I've been at for 14 years, protesting against foreign militarism, I organized a group of people to counter them, and we did a really good job at distracting their message and giving a message of peace.
Yeah, excellent. So you have been a longtime Green Party member. Can you tell us about that?
Actually, I'm a recent Green Party member.
Okay.
I've been independent for a long time. I abandoned the Democratic Party a long time ago. It just became too frustrating to see them repeat the same things that the Republicans are doing. And you know, I've done a lot of research over the years, and I've really educated myself about, you know, the two-party system, the two-party dictatorship that we have here in the United States. But you know, I did take a look at the Green Party platform, and I thought, wow, that's exactly how I think. That's how I feel. You know, the Democratic Party, you know, didn't believe in my beliefs, and so I decided to be a Green.
And do you think there's any reforming the Democratic Party or the two-party system altogether? Do you think we can get them to stand up for the people as opposed to the corporations?
Yeah, I don't believe that there's any chance of reforming the party. They function on a national basis based on their donations. You know, and their donations fund, you know, what they do and their campaigns nationwide. And that's where they get their money from, so they're beholden to their donors. And I think Bernie Sanders is an example that you don't need to depend on corporate America to run a successful campaign. You know, his average donation was $27. So, you know, and we need more options in the United States. You know, for too long we've had a dictatorship of two-party system, and the Green Party, you know, we've got what, 140, 130 elected Green Party members nationwide, and I think most people don't know that, but we're a growing force.
Excellent. And then how long do you see yourself continuing this demonstration?
You know, I never thought that I would be out here as long as I have been, but it really gives me a lot of satisfaction. It gives me a lot of personal satisfaction to be out here spreading a message that I believe in. I don't have money for TV commercials. I don't have money for big billboards. So I thought, what better billboard than myself? You know, if I can't, as a progressive living in America, the biggest plunderer the planet's ever seen, if I can't take some time out of my schedule to do this, then what's wrong with me? So I'll be out here as long as my legs will carry me.
Excellent. Well, David, I thank you for being out here and standing up for progressive values, and I also thank you for this interview.